Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Reservoir Simulation lecture. And this is our journey, week 1 through week 16. As you can see, this is the topics, introduction to oil and gas reservoir, okay, and then carbon capture utilization and storage, the second lecture. All right, this is very important for your literature review and also for final assignment. And then we continue with rock properties, fluid properties. Maybe you can read again the materials from reservoir engineering lecture. And then we will learn about capillary pressure, relative permeability, analytical method, fluid flow in porous media. This is also actually the same with what we learned in reservoir engineering class. And then at week 8, we have midterm. Okay, I will explain it later about the midterm. And then week 9, we will teach overview of practical reservoir simulation. Okay, the workflow of reservoir simulation. And then we continue with introduction to mathematical aspect of reservoir simulation. And then we will review basic steps in derivation of flow equations, discretization of the flow equations, one-dimensional one-phase reservoir simulation, direct solution of linear sets of equations, oil-water simulation, IMPACE solution, and finally the final test. And along with our lecture, I also provide you with software tutorial. Make sure you watch that so that you can be familiar with the software that we use in industry. Okay? And now our first class is about introduction to oil and gas reservoir. Okay? And this is the oil production system. I want to show you a video. Okay, you already know that we have oil from the reservoir flow through the well and to separator. The gas will be burned in flare, and then the oil will be stored in the tank. And then the water, what happened to the water? Yeah, you can see the oil will be delivered to tank, for example, or through pipeline, and the water will be injected back into the reservoir, for example, for pressure maintenance or for water flood. Okay, so this will be the background of our lecture today, the reservoir. Yeah, this is the production system in offshore environment. We have platform here. Okay, and then this is the subsea wellhead or subsea Christmas tree. Okay, and down there we have the reservoir. Okay, and then you can see the blue line. We call the blue line aquifer, the water layer, all right, the aquifer. And then the green zone is the oil reservoir. And then the red zone is, of course, the gas cap. Okay, very interesting. And this is the production system also for onshore. Previously, it is offshore, and this is onshore. And you can see we have the reservoir, the water, okay, and then the oil layer, and also the gas cap. And then we have the well. The well will produce the fluid from the reservoir, and the fluid will go to the station or to surface facility. Here we have separator, stock tank to store the oil, and then sales line. That's basic. You already understand that. And simple question, where do the hydrocarbon come from? Many people out there may think that oil and gas is stored underground in underground lakes or pools. Okay, maybe they think that oil comes from lake, danau, seperti itu danau, or pools, kolam, or river, sungai, underground. But we as petroleum engineering student or petroleum engineering professional know that it's not like here, like this water tank or gallon, but the reservoir is actually like a sponge. As you can see, sponge here, it's not hollow, but it has pores. Dia punya pori-pori. Alright. Here we have hollow tank, but actually reservoir is like here, sponge with pores, or we can also call it porous sponge. Okay, sponge yang berpori. And if you press the sponge, water will come out because water is stored in the pores of this sponge. Okay, then the real life of reservoir is actually not sponge but rock. And we know it is porous rock, batuan yang berpori. All right. And the oil, gas, and water is stored inside the pores, disimpan di dalam pori-pori. And this is if I zoom in, but the big picture is actually like this. This is the conceptual reservoir. We have aquifer below, and then oil, and then gas cap above. Okay, and this is a body of rock. Okay, body of rock, and we know that the rock is porous. It has porosity. Okay, so oil and gas come from the pores of underground rocks. Okay, all right, and the real reservoir can be depicted like this. Okay, we have, for example, the onshore side and then the offshore side. And down there we have oil reservoir, the green zone here, oil reservoir. Or maybe gas reservoir, the red zone. And you can see the picture of well there. And here, offshore field, down there we have, oh, gas cap, oil reservoir, and aquifer. And also we have another reservoir here below the salt dome. Okay, salt dome. And if we zoom in the reservoir here, we take a sample of rock like this cube of rock. It has pores, and within that pores, we have the oil. Okay, so this is the oil, will flow through the well, go up to this platform, and then the platform will pump the oil to the city, for example. Okay, so that's the oil and gas reservoir. But many years ago, the reservoir is actually this environment. Okay, before it turns to be a reservoir, they are actually, some of them are river, some of them are delta, and some of them are lakes. Before they turn to be reservoirs, they were alluvial fan, braided river, fan delta, continental shelf, and so on and so forth. Okay, so they will become reservoirs in the future. So yeah, some people say it's thousands years ago or million years ago. We are not sure, but before they turn to be reservoir, they were actually here. Submarine fan, continental slope, delta, and so on and so forth. And of course, they will have different properties because they come from different depositional environment. And as reservoir engineer and reservoir simulator, we need to understand the depositional environment of our reservoir. So if we want to simulate reservoir previously, which previously was river, it will have different properties with reservoir that actually was a lake. Oke, kalau kita modeling reservoir yang sekarang itu river atau channel reservoir, tentu propertinya akan sangat berbeda with reservoir that was a lake, yang dulunya danau. Okay, so we need to understand, we need to discuss with our geologist friend, petrophysicist friend, geophysicist friend to understand the character of our reservoir. Okay, and yeah, before the hydrocarbon was formed, this slide is about reservoir formation. How the reservoir forms, bagaimana reservoir terbentuk. So previously we have something like mangkuk seperti ini maybe, with mud, with sand, and land plants and animals that accumulated in this zone. Okay, and accumulated across time. Okay, we have huge amount of deposits here, organic deposits, and somehow due to geological phenomena, layers of sand will be at the top of this accumulation. Ya. Layer demi layer akan menimpa akumulasi ini, and somehow this zone will become potential source rock. It will become a kitchen. Dia akan menjadi dapur, alright? It will be a potential source rock which will cook the organic deposit, the organic accumulation, and change the organic deposit to be oil and gas. Okay, so after a very long period of time, this mud and sand becomes source rock, and it will be a kitchen. It will be a place to cook the oil and gas. And we have heat di sini. We have heat, and due to the burial, we have high pressure, high temperature, and the oil and gas will form, and somehow oil and gas will migrate, go above. Due to permeability, they will find the channel, and then somehow they are trapped, terjebak, terperangkap, they are trapped, because there is a layer, rock layer with very small permeability, which is called silt, all right, silt. And because of this seal, oil and gas cannot go above, cannot go at upper zone, and it will be stored here. It will be trapped. It will be accumulated in this layer, and we call this layer reservoir, oil and gas reservoir. So that's the process of reservoir formation. And this is another picture. You see this source rock, the gray color, and then we have oil and gas generation here, and the oil and gas are formed, and then they migrate through this fault. They find channel so that they can go up, and up, and somehow they are trapped because of the seal rock here. We have seal rock, the purple line. Okay, and then they will separate, the phase will separate, gas will be at the top, we call it gas cap, and then we have oil lake, and then we have water lake or aquifer. Okay, and then between gas cap and oil lake we have gas oil contact, and between oil and water we have oil water contact. All these terms are very, very important, so you need to be familiar with the term trap or seal or gas oil contact, oil water contact, gas cap, aquifer. You need to be familiar with those terms. Okay. Right. Again, due to difference of density, okay, difference of gravity, gas will be at the top, and then oil, and then the heaviest, the water at the bottom. Okay, they have different density, and of course, they will have different pressure at their corresponding depth. Okay, so here we have gas, and then oil, and the water, and they have different gradient. Okay, kemiringan garisnya berbeda. They have different gradient. Why? Because they have different density. So they have different density, they will have different pressure gradient, and yeah, the line will be different. Okay, gas will be quite steep, and then oil, and then water will be quite mild. Okay, landai. Okay, and yeah, during the oil and gas migration, oil will migrate upwards because it is lighter, whereas water will be pushed down because it is heavier. Okay, so you know the hydrocarbon formation or reservoir formation. Okay, and then we discuss about reservoir structure. Okay, of course, down deep, down there, below the surface, we have many layers. Okay, we have this yellow or orange layer, purple layer, green layer. There are many layers inside the earth. Okay, but some of the spot are reservoir. Not all of them are reservoir, but some of them can be a reservoir. And as a reservoir engineer or not reservoir engineer, as person of oil and gas industry, we need to know where is the oil. All right, we need to know where the oil and gas reservoir are. But the main person to know that is actually the explorationist, geologist, geophysicist. Okay, they are the one who does the exploration to find the oil and gas reservoir. Okay, but yes, somehow we find a reservoir. So you see, this is the cross section of many layers subsurface. And let's say we have a reservoir, and this is the basic structure of the reservoir. We have reservoir rock. They have porosity, okay, to contain the fluid, to store the fluid. And then, of course, below we have salt water or aquifer. And then above we have oil. And then we have gas cap. This should be very clear. All right, this should be very clear for you. Aquifer, oil, and then gas cap. And then they are trapped, they accumulate there because we have cap rock or seal rock. Seal rock has very low permeability, so it can trap the oil and gas and water so that oil and gas and water cannot flow upwards, okay, except there is a well. And through the well, the oil can flow, okay? Yeah, this is another picture of reservoir structure. Here we have water zone at the bottom. And here we have spill point. Okay, spill point. Spill point is actually the end of this anticline. Okay, yang mangkuk ini kita sebut anticline. Okay, the end of this anticline is spill point. Okay, if we go to the left, water will go everywhere. Okay, istilahnya kalau kita pergi ke kiri melewati spill point, namanya spill itu kan berceceran ya, pergi kemana-mana. Jadi to the left, water will go everywhere because there is no anticline at the left. And also to the right, there is no other anticline and water will flow. Okay, to the left or to the right because there is no anticline. That's the importance of spill point. Okay, water will spill to the left, water will spill to the right. Okay, and then we have oil water contact, oil water contact, and oil zone, of course. And then above the oil zone, we have gas cap. And between gas cap and oil zone, we have gas oil contact. Okay, and then the uppermost, we call it crest. Okay, so usually we call it crestal area. Crestal area. It means we are at the top. Why crest is important? Because hydrocarbon, gas, or oil usually will be found in the crest area. Okay, crest is very important karena oil, gas yang ringan pasti akan terkumpul di puncak. So if you drill your well at this crest area, most likely you will find oil. Okay, so that's the importance of crest area. Okay, and then the distance between the crest and the spill point, we call it closure. Here we have bottom water, okay, because the water is at the bottom of this oil zone. And here we have edge water because water is at the edge side. Okay. And then we have structural traps here. Okay, structural traps. We have water, oil, gas, and then we have fault to trap the oil, to trap the gas. Here we have the gas. Okay, and then we have water there. Okay, and also we have salt dome. Somehow there is salt dome. This is salt. Okay, and then oil will be pushed and accumulated there. Okay, these are the mechanism that will trap the oil and gas. Yeah, this is another picture of salt dome. This is actually the layer of salt accumulation, as simple as garam yang terakumulasi dan somehow it moves to the upper side and oil and gas reservoir are formed, terbentuk di sini. Okay, we call it structural traps. Another kind of trap, we call it structural and stratigraphic traps. Some of them is pinch out. Okay, pinch out. So we have gas, oil, water. We call it pinch out because the reservoir is stopped there. The reservoir stops there. If we zoom, right, the reservoir stops there. Jadi persebaran reservoirnya itu habis stop di satu titik. We call it pinch out. Okay. Okay, we have gas, oil, water, but the phases changes. Here we have good porosity or good permeability reservoir, but the chocolate layer here, brown color, is rock with very small permeability, very tight, very low permeability. That's why oil, gas, water are trapped there, cannot flow. That's why we call it stratigraphic trapping. Here we also have unconformity. So we have pinch out and we have also facies change. We have seal rock at the same time. We call it unconformity. Here we have channel. So for channel, thousands years ago, it's actually a river. And we call it usually channel reservoir. Okay. Again, salt dome or hydrocarbon or fractured carbonate reef. So for carbonate reef, this is actually can be a good reservoir. Previously, before it is a reservoir, ini adalah tumpukan coral. Okay, that's why we call it carbonate reef. Coral mati menjadi ya batuan karbonat and it can store oil and it will be reservoir. Okay. As a reservoir engineer, again, as a reservoir simulator, you need to understand the trapping mechanism of your set reservoir, the positional environment of your reservoir. Okay, and then we discuss about reservoir properties. We need to understand well with the properties of our reservoir. Here, for example, we have impermeable rock as the seal, as the cap rock, and then oil, water, and then gas, water. Here we have combination, gas, oil, and water. And main properties for the rock are porosity and permeability. Of course, you already understand this in reservoir engineering lecture, but it's okay to refresh so that we can understand it better. Porosity, we have space in the rock and we have the volume of the space, the volume of the pores divided by the bulk volume. We call it porosity. Here we have permeability. Good permeability, high permeability will enable high flow rate. But yeah, down there we have good permeability. But low permeability or tight or bad permeability will give us small rate, low rate. Okay, you already understand that. And another properties that is very important is saturation, oil saturation, gas saturation, and water saturation. And if you combine all of these saturations, it will be one unity. So SW plus SO plus SG equals to 1. Okay. Of course, what we want is reservoir zone with high oil saturation or can also be high gas saturation so that we can get the oil, we can get the gas, and we don't like the water. Okay. And to know the properties of our reservoir, okay, we can do core analysis, but core analysis is very expensive. The more economical, the cheaper one is actually to do log analysis. Okay. And then we lower down tools, logging tools, it will go down and it will go up. And during its movement, it will record something. Okay. And then we will read the record. We will analyze the recording and do log evaluation, formation evaluation, and then we can interpret. Okay. Formation evaluation or log interpretation. And we can distinguish, for example, gamma ray. Here we have, or here we know, porous zone. Okay, so gamma ray can give us the information about where the permeable or where the porous zone is. So now with gamma ray, we can know the reservoir. Okay, and then resistivity, we can know zone with high resistivity and low resistivity. Okay, low resistivity usually means brine or water. High resistivity usually means hydrocarbon. But we can only distinguish hydrocarbon with resistivity log. We cannot distinguish oil with gas. To know the oil or gas, we need to combine with this one, density log and this one. Okay? And then porosity log, I mean. And then we have, yeah, by evaluation, by the petrophysics, right? We have gas area or gas zone, gas cap, and then the oil zone, and then the aquifer. But of course, this is very simple. The left picture, the real log is actually more difficult to interpret, like this one. Okay, but this is not the main responsibility of petroleum engineer. This is the main responsibility of petrophysicists. Okay, but yeah, we get the evaluation from them, and with that we know the properties of our reservoir. Yeah, and another property that is very important is fluid property. phase diagram. Okay, we will talk about this in another lecture about fluid properties. Here, I just want to say that because of this phase diagram, we can have oil reservoir or gas reservoir or volatile oil reservoir, retrograde gas reservoir, wet gas, or dry gas. Oke, semuanya sangat ditentukan, sangat bisa dilihat dari diagram fasa, phase diagram. In software, we can create this phase diagram. If I input my laboratory data, my fluid data into the software can generate phase diagram. Okay? All right. Yeah, of course, the fluid properties will be governed by fluid composition. Okay, fluid composition. Like dry gas will be dominated with C1 or methane, gas metana, and then we have wet gas condensate, volatile oil, black oil with different composition. Okay, and we will talk about this later. And another properties that is very important is of course viscosity, like this one, oil with different viscosity. Okay, and also the gravity or density. Okay, we usually measure the density in API degree. Okay, to the left we have lower, smaller API. To the right we have higher API. Yang kiri heavier, lebih berat. Yang kanan lighter, lebih ringan. Okay, usually heavy oil will have high viscosity. Okay, easy to understand. But light oil will have low viscosity, so it can flow better than high viscosity or heavy oil. Okay, and the property is very important to determine the in place or productivity. Like this one, we have, for example, porosity, rock property. It will govern the oil in place, and also the saturation, very important. And then for the gas also, porosity, very important. Saturation, very important. This is for oil in place or gas in place. For productivity or easiness for the fluid to flow, productivity, bagaimana sumur itu produktif, mampu mengalirkan fluid, it is determined or governed by permeability, another rock property. Okay, and also by the viscosity, the fluid property. And another fluid property is BO, oil formation volume factor. We will talk about this later in another lecture. And also something that is very important for the reservoir is heterogeneity. Of course, the reservoir is not uniform. The reservoir is not homogeneous. Reservoir is very heterogeneous. Sangat heterogen reservoir itu. The property at one point will be different significantly with property at other zone. Oke, tidak ada reservoir yang seragam sama propertinya di semua titik. That's impossible. Reservoir is very heterogeneous because of many reasons. For example, this gigascale. We have heterogeneity because of sealing fault or maybe semi-sealing fault or even non-sealing fault. It will make the environment, the condition heterogeneous, and it will make the analysis more difficult. It will make simulation, modeling more difficult, evaluation more difficult. Okay, but that's our challenge. And fracturing, we have tight fracture or open fracture like this one. Again, it will make it heterogeneous. And boundaries, genetic units, different boundary, right? Different units, the light color and the dark color And then also permeability zonation. So permeability here is different with permeability there, and also different with permeability there. Heterogeneous, not uniform. And we also, for the macro scale, we have baffle within genetic units, like this line, right? Baffle, barrier to flow, we call it baffle. And some with lamination, like this one. Lamination means berlapis-lapis. Okay, berlapis-lapis, laminasi. And also for the micro scale or microns, we have microscopic heterogeneity because of textural types or because of difference in mineralogy. Okay, so all of these aspects will give us heterogeneity. All of these aspects will make our reservoir heterogeneous. Okay, and it will make modeling very, very, very difficult. Yeah, again, it's another depiction of heterogeneity. So we have heterogeneity in all skills. In channel complex system, in channel complex set, we have difference of properties at channel complex level, at facies level, at lithology level, pore system level, we have different properties, and we call it heterogeneity. Again and again, it makes simulation difficult. Yeah, again, but we need to understand, we need to know the characteristic, the properties of our reservoir. And the positional environment will influence the heterogeneity level. Okay? Depositional environment will govern the heterogeneity. Like, for example, you have confined channels, the log will be like this, or the characteristic will be like this. If you have amalgamated channels, the rock will be like this, and they are different. This one and this one are different. And if you have medial to distal fan, it will be like this. It will be more dirty, lebih kotor. Ada sand, ada shell, ada sand, ada shell. Lamination of cell and shell, it is dirtier. And usually it will give us bad productivity. Okay, because the sand is thin. Okay, reservoirnya tipis-tipis, and we have many shells. Okay, so again, the positional environment will govern the heterogeneity. So if you want to create reservoir model, if you want to do reservoir simulation, you need to know the depositional environment of your reservoir. Okay, and then we need to understand also reservoir mapping and reservoir modeling. Yeah, we can create subsurface mapping, but it's not by reservoir engineer. Usually the one who creates the map is the geologist. Okay, they will create the map usually or most of the time using seismic data. Okay, seismic here, you can see the picture of the seismic. They will arrange the seismic and somehow in software, or maybe they can draw it, they will create map. And we will use this map to, to spot, to know the area within our reservoir. So reservoir mapping, subsurface mapping is very, very important. Yeah, to create the map, we need to know the counter. Okay, the one with bigger area, it means it will be at the lower depth. But the one with smaller area, it means they are at the top, at the higher depth, higher level. So it's like this, and you can see this one, you can see to the left, you can see to the right, and you know the meaning, the significance, the importance of counter. Okay? Jadi lubang-lubang yang kecil, bulatan-bulatan yang kecil, itu berarti dia berada di lebih puncak. Tapi area yang lebih besar, itu berarti dia ada di daerah yang lebih below. Okay, that's the contouring, technique contouring to create map. And this is the one of the real maps. And you know, this is the area of our reservoir. And you know the location of well 1, well 2, well 3, and others. And here you can see we want to drill the well at the top. That's why we are at this area. Or we can also call it crestal area, right? Crestal area. And then at the lowest part of the reservoir, well 4. So if you drill your well at this location, most likely you will only get water. Okay? Karena Anda mengebor di daerah yang dalam, lower side. Of course, you will only find water there. Okay? And it's another picture of map with the symbol of wells. Okay? It's another contouring to create map. And at one side, we have map. At another side, we have well correlation. You can see we have log of well 1, another log, and log. And we arrange the log with their corresponding position. And we have well correlation. I think you already know about this in other lecture, okay? Well correlation. This is another well correlation. So you can know the area of your reservoir. This one reservoir. This is another reservoir. You know the distribution. Okay, you know the continuity of your reservoir. Atau kalau kami sering membahasnya pelamparan ya. Melampar reservoirnya sejauh apa, we can plot that with well correlation. Okay, this is another well correlation so that you know the connection, the correlation between one well with another well can be depicted like this. And what happened here in the middle? This is actually artificial. This is not real. Yeah, it's only extrapolation. So the real one yang benar-benar data adalah yang kiri, yang ini, and yang ini. Yang diantaranya ini adalah buatan. Okay, it is created by the geologists so that we have a structure there. Okay, it's like anticline. Okay, this is at the lower side, this is at the crestal side, at the upper side, and it's like anticline. Or you can also create well correlation with seismic. So we have log data, and at the background we have seismic picture. Okay. Another type of well correlation. Yeah, another well correlation. This one and this one. This is the conceptual picture with log, and this is the well correlation with seismic. So it's very good if you can combine the seismic and the log to create well correlation. Okay, and all of these things, if you have map, you have the log, you have seismic, you know the top and bottom of your reservoir, you can create 3D reservoir model. Okay, you can create, usually the one who creates the reservoir model, we call it geomodeler. Okay, geomodeler. So this is the 3D reservoir model that will be used for reservoir simulation. Okay, so previously at the beginning, it is created by the geomodeler. Okay, geomodeler usually is a geologist. So it's not engineer who creates the model first. It is geologist. Okay, so the geologist will create 3D reservoir model, and the reservoir engineer or the reservoir simulator will use this model. Okay, will use this model to run the simulation. Okay, and This is the last part of our lecture today, the reserve estimation. Yeah, we need to know the reserve. We need to know the volume of our reservoir. And we have several methods to know the volume. The very basic method is actually using this technique. I have the gross rock volume, this one, and I can break the volume, I can break the structure into several layers like this. Layer A1, A2, A3, and so on and so forth. And using this calculation method, I can know the gross rock volume. It's still gross, okay? Ini masih total, masih gross. Not all of them is actually reservoir. Oil is not stored in all of this volume. It's still gross volume. And then we need to multiply the gross rock volume with net to gross. Okay? Gross means all. Net means something that is very important. Okay? So at the left, we have gross rock, the total rock volume. And then we eliminate the the shale we will eliminate. The shale zone will not be calculated. So we have net sand. Okay, you can see the net sand only 3, net sand 1, net sand 2, net sand 3, because we don't calculate the shale. Because shale will not be reservoir. Okay, and then we have net reservoir. Net reservoir will eliminate the water zone because water zone will not contain oil. So we eliminate the water zone, and don't forget we eliminate the shale. We eliminate the shale, so we have net reservoir 1, 2, and 3. And we will cut again, we will cut further. We will cut this zone, tight sand, ya. Sand dengan low permeability will be cut so that we have net pay 1, net pay 2, net pay 3. So if you combine net pay 1, 2, 3, you have total net pay. And these are the places, right? These are the places which contain the oil. So the money comes from the net pay, not from the gross reservoir, not from the gross rock. Okay. So the petrophysicists will evaluate the log, they will analyze, and they will give us the net pay so that the reservoir engineer can know seberapa tebal net pay-nya. Oil hanya tersimpan, oil yang produktif, oil yang mampu mengalir, oil that can flow is stored in the net pay. Okay? Yeah, this is another depiction. Previously, you have gross sand, which is thick, tebal, thick, but you cut, you eliminate, you cut, you eliminate until you only have the fraction, the net pay. Okay? Yeah, and then all of the data you consider, you know the gross rock volume, area multiplied by thickness, and then net bulk volume, area thickness multiplied by net to gross, pore volume, area gross thickness, net to gross multiplied by porosity. For hydrocarbon pore volume is the pore volume multiplied by 1 minus water saturation. So 1 minus water saturation is hydrocarbon saturation. And then hydrocarbon in place, they will be divided with BOI, initial formation volume factor. And lastly, estimate oil recovery if all of them multiplied by recovery factor. And one of the main tasks of petroleum engineer is to increase recovery factor with production strategy, development strategy. And using reservoir simulation, you can know the recovery factor. All right, and I think we can stop here. So we discussed many things about the reservoir, and we close with volumetric reservoir estimation. Okay, we will continue our lecture later. for the rest of 30 minutes, or 50 minutes, I think. The rest of 50 minutes we can talk about it later. Silakan jika ada pertanyaan.